Oh, huge news, breaking news from Christopher Mellon. He says there's not going to be any more UAP hearings in the House Oversight Committee with Tim Burchett. This is crazy. So we have this and other UFO news to go over. It's time for another UFO news roundup. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, let's just get right into it. Christopher Mellon says, sadly, it appears there is little prospect at this time of further hearings on the UAP issue by the House Oversight Committee. However, the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees remain engaged and there is far-reaching legislation in the DoD bill that establishes a process for declassifying unprecedented amounts of UAP data. And he links to this article that I've already talked about before from The Hill. Bipartisan House group pushes for select committee classified hearings into UFOs. But what in the world is he talking about with this tweet? Why are there not going to be any more House Oversight hearings? Because it appears that the House Oversight Committee is the one entity in Congress that seems genuinely committed to UAP information and disclosure. So what the hell? What is going on? Well, we don't know. There are rumors that Tim Burchett and Representative Luna have been removed from the House Oversight Committee. We don't have any corroboration on that. There are rumors also of tweets being deleted. So we're really in the fog of war on all of this. We need more information. I will be updating you as I see that information unfold. And if you see it before I do, please let me know, because this is going to be huge going forward, and this could impact a lot of UFO disclosure. Of course, Chris is optimistic about the new legislation, the Schumer-Rounds Amendment, and getting a lot of information declassified. I certainly hope that happens, and the gatekeeping committee established by this committee, or this legislation, isn't too gatekeeping-ish. But yeah, I'm very alarmed by this news from Chris Mellon that there apparently is not going to be any more UAP hearings in the House Oversight Committee. Now, we could still get field hearings. Tim Burchett has talked numerous times about having more informal, impromptu field hearings. He could just do it in his backyard or his front yard. Just hold a press conference and a field hearing with some witnesses. And hey, maybe that's the best way going forward. I don't know. But I'm really dismayed by this news because I think that getting this in a public setting in Congress with TV crews on it is really the best path for disclosure for the American public. But again, I'll be updating you as I see new information on this story, so let me know if you see it before I do. This is big news. Update. We have some new additional information about this situation from Mike Disclosure. Representative Mike Turner from Ohio, who is the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, has convinced Representative James Comer, who is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, that any more UAP hearings by the committee would cause serious harm to the reputation of the Department of Defense in the eyes of the public and should be avoided for the foreseeable future. Disclosing the truth is harmful to the reputation. Yeah, really. Well, maybe you shouldn't be keeping secrets for so long, right? As a result of this decision, there will be no further hearings on this topic by the Oversight Committee. That's insane. If this is true, this is ridiculous, and this is a horrible justification. So others are saying the reason is because Mike Turner is working for the military contractors and not the people in his state. Isn't Mike Turner the guy who has all the defense contractors that make campaign contributions in his district? Yes, Graham, you hit the nail on the head with your observation. Mike Turner is directly influenced by military contractors in his state. So I don't know if that's the reason or not, but it very well could be. And very bad news that the House Oversight Committee, which has been zealously pursuing this more than anybody else basically ever in the public purview, is not going to be continuing the good fight. In other news, I did a piece the other day about how General Milley was kind of poo-pooing the whole UAP subject. basically saying he wasn't aware of anything. So Ross Coulthart, in his presentation at the Victoria State Library, did touch on this, and let's go over his remarks.
Because General Milley came up and told a newspaper, I think it was the Washington Post or the Washington Times, that as far as he was aware, he'd never been read into any crash retrieval reverse engineering program. So the first thing I did was I rang one of my sources and I said, seriously, you're telling me that the general, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff is not read anywhere? He's not read in. Now you think about that. David revealed in his interview with me that there is a protocol in place. This is why this is also absurd. It's written in place in a legislative agreement commissioned between the Russians and the Americans that if a UFO is seen, there's a protocol in place for how to deal with a UFO. It's written into their international agreement. They talk about UFOs in an international agreement with the Russians. Who says UFOs don't exist? I mean, it's ridiculous, this silly game of hiding this stuff. And so imagine this. Imagine if General Mark Milley is woken up in the middle of the night at UFOs, but misinterpreting them as ICBMs. This is why this matters. This is why it's a national security issue and an absolute outrage that senior leadership in both the Congress and the Pentagon...
Okay, yeah, the syncing is a little off there, but yeah, you get the point. General Milley is apparently not read into the UFO secrets, which is going to come to a surprise to many, and many are going to think this is maybe disinformation. I personally buy it. Admiral Tom Wilson was also not read into it, and he was no small timer. So, and he really tried very hard to get read into it. And he banged on the walls and banged on the walls and was finally kind of admitted into the foyer, if you will, of the control group, and was given a little information, and they admitted there was a crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, and they claimed they hadn't made any progress on it, and that's all they would give him. Except for some disinformation saying there were no alien abductions. So, yeah, so there was definitely some disinformation that they gave Tom Wilson. But even after a concerted effort on his part, according to what he told Eric Davis, there was, he didn't make any progress getting information about the UFO crash retrieval program, except that it did exist. But as far as genuine access, he was denied. So it's no big surprise to me that General Milley was also not given access. In other news, Ryan Graves is making progress on getting pilots to come forward to give their testimony about what they have seen. There's a video. Unfortunately, the audio has been scrubbed for privacy reasons. There is a little video of a UFO, but you actually have to read it in order to get the details. I don't want to read the whole thing to you, but just to give you a little taste of what this pilot says. I am a major U.S. carrier, A320, 321 captain. The following sighting occurred during one of my flights recently. Since I have shared my story, several other major U.S. carrier pilots have reached out to me and shared their similar experiences, including sharing their video recordings of these objects from the flight levels, all seen at the base of the Big Dipper. Well, that's really interesting. And he goes on to describe his encounter. But that's really amazing that these encounters and these incidents are starting to come out now, thanks in large part to efforts by Ryan Graves. So hats off, Ryan. You're doing good work. We also have another insight into the Peru alien attacks. This is from somebody that lives locally, and he says, although I have no evidence one way or another on the Peru sightings, as a Latin American and knowing the economic reality of our region, I do believe that it is extremely, extremely, extremely unlikely that illegal miners use or have jetpacks. It makes no sense to me and also ignores all the other aspects and characteristics mentioned by the natives. I also want to go over another comment that someone made, that one of the beings captured in the video footage from Peru seems to indicate possibly a tall gray. You know, we're familiar with the short grays, you know, the 3 or 4 foot tall grays that carry out most of the abductions. But they seem subservient to the taller grays, the, you know, more 7 foot tall grays that may or may not be the true biological grays. The smaller ones are the robots, if you will, the biological robots. But the taller ones seem like they may be the parent organism or species that designs or makes the smaller ones. All conjecture and based on, you know, experience or testimony. But someone pointed out that the being captured in the Las Vegas sighting in that footage might also be a tall gray. So could we have some sort of wave of tall grays going on right now, being captured on video by multiple people in different parts of the world? Have the tall grays come out of the woodwork and are doing things in our world that are so overt that now we can get video of them? Or is it all hoaxes and CGI? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Here's an interesting post from Anonymous. I'm going to just read it. In March 2011, dozens of orbs were seen over Fukushima after the disaster. This video, which includes several videos of the orbs, is very hard to find on YouTube and is basically deleted. It's one of several deleted videos in my 2015 files I was sent, dubbed hashtag the UFO files. All right, let's see what this video looks like.
Extraño sobrevolando Japón.
All right, well, there we go. These are apparently the orbs, according to Anonymous. I mean, you know, who knows, that were seen over Fukushima after the disaster. Now, those sure look like the sorts of anomalous, crazy UFO type activity that you get in a lot of these incidents. I mean, that looks fairly legitimate. I don't know about that, but that looks really, really good in my book. So, what do you think, guys? Is this footage legitimate? Is Anonymous a credible source? I'm not going to vouch for Anonymous, but I think that's a really interesting idea and possibly even evidence that UFOs could have been seen over that disaster. Since UFOs do seem to gravitate to nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, I guess it wouldn't be a big surprise if they were present during this incident. In other news, Think Tank, the poster Think Tank, is debunking Scott Brown's debunking of MH370. I shared some of Scott Brown's thoughts on it yesterday. Here are some additional comments. Scott says, I have over 30 years experience and a degree in digital imaging and photography. Stay away from anyone who just stepped into the field recently and thinks they know their shit and post fake videos all the time, kind of like this guy. And I think he's indicating Think Tank. In his little meme here says, in the alleged MH370 UFO swarm video, it can be clearly shown that the objects were inserted afterwards. The objects were lit in different directions from the sun and go from one side to the other over and over again. If the objects were real, it would be lit from one side by the sun and only on one side. Well, Think Tank has a rejoinder to that. He says what Scott says doesn't match the video. The belly of the airplane is red. If we follow his logic, the sun would be beneath the airplane. The cherry-picked screenshot doesn't help either. Stay away from anyone making declarative hoax statements. Okay, I don't know which one is right. Let me know which one you think is right in the comments below. I think it's despicable if a hoaxer hoaxed this footage, but I really support all the researchers out there trying to get to the bottom of this, whether they're debunking it or corroborating it in some way. This incident affected real people, and there are still families out there right now dealing with the effects of this tragedy or incident. And so the more truth that we get, the better. Okay, update. Before I could post this video, some new information came out potentially debunking the anomalous nature of MH370's disappearance. And then some new additional information came out debunking the debunking. And then some more information came out after that. So I will probably have to make another roundup, either delving into that or doing an independent video especially for that. So look forward to that in the future. Okay, continuing on with the roundup. Okay, last but not least, rounding up today's UFO News Roundup, we have something from Brandon Fugel. Recently, I shared information from Eric Bard via Brandon that the intelligence behind the phenomenon at Skinwalker Ranch had actually communicated with Eric, saying via his screen, I live, or I living, excuse me. And now we have a screenshot, a creepy ass screenshot of that actual incident. Check it out. Yes, here's what Brandon says. A more complete view of the eye living image that appeared on the screen in front of Eric Bard as the camera surveillance morphed instantly in response to his verbal command. And I don't know what that means exactly, what his command was. Maybe we will see on next season of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. But there you go. Eye living. What did it look like before his verbal command? Did it look as creepy? Because Brandon says it's morphing. So I assume it was less creepy before Eric issued his command. I would love to see what it looked like before he issued his command, when we can see the authentic, raw communication between the intelligence of Skinwalker Ranch and Eric Bard. But either way, you do get part of it. Eye living. Something's living at Skinwalker Ranch. What is it, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video or gotten something out of it, give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there. And if you could share this video on social media, that would be enormously helpful. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, there's a PayPal button below. A one-time donation would be terrific, or you can become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars. Thank you guys so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.